There is a moment, subtle yet seismic, where the ground shifts inside you. Not with fanfare, not with flames, but with a silence so pure it echoes through your entire being. You don't shout, you don't slam the door, you simply stop bending, stop diluting your truth, stop offering pieces of yourself to people who only come to feed and never to nourish. This is not rebellion. This is clarity. This is a return, a sacred return to the self you've been taught to silence. It doesn't start with a roar. It begins quietly, often painfully. The first time you say no, it shakes you. Your voice trembles. Guilt creeps in like smoke under a closed door. But beneath that fear, something else awakens. Strength. It's not loud. It doesn't announce itself. But it's there, pulsing beneath your skin, growing stronger with every boundary you enforce, every mask you drop, every truth you choose to honor. You start to see how much of your life was lived as a performance. How often you traded authenticity for acceptance. How easily you abandoned your own needs just to be chosen by people who only loved the version of you that kept them comfortable. Carl Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming whole. Not just liked, not just admired. Whole, complete. You learn that being whole requires shedding everything you built to survive. The fake laughter, the forced yes, the habit of keeping the peace while a war raged inside you. It's not an easy path. It is not glamorous. No one claps for you when you stop people-pleasing. They don't thank you for becoming honest. In fact, some will call it a betrayal. Because when you stop dancing for their approval, they can no longer control the rhythm. You stop being predictable. You stop being easy to manipulate. You become someone they can no longer define. And that terrifies them. But it frees you. You begin to see who truly loves you. Not for what you provide, not for how little you ask, but for who you are when you're no longer trying to be acceptable. Some people fall away. Let them. Because the ones who leave when you grow are making space for the ones who will meet you where you are, not where they needed you to stay small. And yes, it hurts. Let's not pretend it doesn't. It hurts to realize you gave your soul to people who only loved your silence. It hurts to see that what you called loyalty was often self-abandonment, that the relationships you held on to the tightest were the very ones suffocating your spirit. But pain, real pain, is a compass. It tells you what matters. It points you home. And home, finally, is within you. You learn that your value isn't in how little you need, but in how fully you show up. You begin to respect your energy, not just the time you give, but the emotional labor, the mental space, the heart you offer. You stop bleeding for people who only show up to collect. You stop sharing your sacred truths with ears that hear only through the filter of their own ego. You learn to love in silence, not because you fear rejection, but because your love has become selective, precise, and deeply self-respecting. You realize that stillness is strength, that not every battle requires your sword, that sometimes walking away is louder than anything you could ever say. Your silence becomes a message, not of retreat, but of refinement. You don't explain yourself to those who were never listening. You don't clarify your boundaries for those who only honored them when it was convenient. And you certainly don't apologize for becoming someone who finally knows their worth. People may say you've changed. And they'll be right. You've changed from someone who begged for crumbs into someone who now bakes their own table. You've changed from someone who tolerated chaos just to feel loved into someone who chooses peace, even if it means walking alone. Because walking alone, in truth, is less lonely than sitting beside people who don't really see you. You stop performing. You stop dressing your wounds in humor or silence. You sit with them. You hold them. You let them teach you. And from that pain, something extraordinary is born. A version of you that doesn't flinch when misunderstood. A version of you that can sit in a room full of noise and still feel anchored. A version of you that no longer chases clarity from others because you found it within yourself. Carl Jung wrote that we wear a persona to survive. That mask becomes our shield, our ticket into the world. But the tragedy is, we start to believe the mask is who we are. And when the soul finally rebels against it, we mistake that discomfort for danger. But it's not danger, it's awakening. It's the self knocking gently at the door, asking to be let back in. And when you finally let it in, when you let you in, you begin to move differently. Not from reaction, but from intention. Not from fear, but from alignment. You speak not to convince, but to express. You act not to gain approval, but to stay true. You rest not to earn your worth back, but because you understand that rest is not a reward. It's a right. There is power in becoming unexplainable, in letting people misunderstand you while you stay centered, in walking away from situations that demand too much and offer too little. There's freedom in no longer participating in your own diminishment. And when you choose this, again and again, the world doesn't always applaud. But the universe does. It rearranges, it removes, it replaces. Not to punish you, but to reflect who you've become. You start attracting different things, deeper things. Not because you're lucky, but because your energy no longer tolerates the shallow. Your frequency has changed. And with it, everything that used to feel normal begins to feel unbearable. Gossip drains you. Chaos repels you. Half-efforts insult you. You crave real, depth, stillness, intimacy with yourself and with others who are also done pretending. And you no longer ask for directions. You no longer wait for permission. You no longer stand at the edge of your own becoming, hoping someone else will pull you in. You leap, you choose, you walk, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because you've tasted what it feels like to be lost inside yourself. And you've promised never to go back. This is not the end. It's the beginning, not of a better version of you, but of the truest one. The one that doesn't apologize for taking up space. The one that doesn't filter every word. The one that doesn't shrink. The one that leads quietly, powerfully, without needing to convince anyone. Because when you become fully aligned, you don't just walk in peace, you become it. You don't just speak truth, you are it. And that, more than anything else, changes everything. You are no longer available for anything less than that.